for the past few years, we've talked a lot about national minute enablement, and a lot of progress has been made for the past few years. But we think 2022 will be a pivotal year for the actualization and implementation of these capabilities. So that ideally would lead to a huge step forward in terms of when we talk about scale and adoption for addressable as an industry. So when we think about kind of the progress, it's helpful to maybe think about it from like a stages point of view. So there's 4 major stages, and progress has been made in kind of each respective one. So one being building the infrastructure. So this is your signaling capabilities, your technology language, kind of building the pipes and the plumbing so each group can talk to each other. The second being connection and operationalization. So operationalization. So that one would be for programmers and distributor requirements to meet in the middle, while kind of keeping the resources and the time and the product roadmaps in mind, and then connecting the pipes across the two of them. The third being setting the stage and plugging in. So this is a programmer, from a programmer standpoint, this is like, how many minutes do we want to enable? Like, what is the scale we can expect? What is the demand? How is our sales go to market? And we think the fourth stage is marketplace adoption and scale. So when we solve for the first 3, marketplace adoption and scale will follow. That would be the fourth stage. So for the past year, and I think 2022 will be key in driving this as well, there has been unprecedented collaboration across the industry. Go Addressable, the initiative we announced last year, was a huge step forward in terms of making everything consistent and easy to work with. That's the goal for Go Addressable. So how do we make it how do we make working across our distributor footprints as seamless and easy to work with? So programmers are not only focused on, execution with each different distributors. They want to be able to just, talk to their go-to-market and think about their sales strategy versus the pipes part of it, which I think would be huge for 2022.
So where do things stand with the programmers and this whole notion of national addressable advertising? Where do we stand in the continuum, and what's going to be the development you think this year?
So the development, at least from my perspective in Dish Media, we generally think the focus would be on the first 2 while starting this conversation around scale, right? So it's building the infrastructure, which we are doing, connecting and operationalizing, but for Go Addressable is working across these different distributors. So we're all aligned. So it's not a custom integration for a programmer. So if I'm a major programmer, I don't want to do a custom integration with each individual distributor. If you have a single go-to-market or a single execution point of view, I think that makes it easier, right? We don't want the programmers to be thinking about building the pipes. We want them out in the market thinking about how do you scale Go Addressable, or how do you scale addressable, and how do you, kind of start talking to big advertisers around this. So that, I would say, kind of execution and the seamless interoperable piece would be key for 2022. And then starting to talk about the adoption of addressable at scale. So from Dish Media, we've now, I would say, broadcast enablement has been like a big priority for us. We've now enabled 3 major broadcasters on our footprint. So if you're an advertiser, you truly can buy cable and broadcast networks from a single campaign, which should so those sort of single point of execution will be a focus, and that is happening in 2022.
So what is the appeal to advertisers? I mean, obviously reaching the right person is always really key, but what is the appeal, and how are the buyers driving this enablement?
The appeal to the advertisers is scale. So from a program, right? So from Dish, we had our 2 minutes and we've made it addressable for the past 8 years, but that's just our 2 minutes that we've enabled. But if networks are enabling their 14 minutes, which I'm not saying it's 14 minutes yet, but that will come. So from an advertiser, it's getting the targeted audience in a premium video environment in traditionally non-accessible audience, right? It's even harder to reach. So digital is very different than finding someone on TV. So if you're finding the right audience on TV, it's the efficiency of buy. I think people say addressable is more expensive, but I think if you kind of narrow it down to the efficiency of the buy and who you're trying to reach, it does end up being a much more efficient campaign because you're trying to reach the audiences that you want and you're kind of reducing the waste of it.
Cool. And tell us a little bit about Sling. The whole consumption patterns, opportunities for advertisers. Clearly, there's been a big growth in the virtual MVPDs. What's going on there, and what's sort of interesting from a technology standpoint that you're seeing at Sling?
Yeah. So for Sling, I mean, I would say we've always been kind of in terms of industry leading, we're programmatic first. We generally give options to an advertiser to whichever way they want to execute. And our programmatic turnkey business has been growing. So for us, like as we think about the dish set-top boxes and then the impression-based buying, that's where sort of like our North Star, right? So we're meeting where the audiences are, where we're meeting where the buyers are for us. So whether that be direct deals through platforms that we execute or whichever demand side platform that is asking. So for Sling, I think the next step would be kind of direct deals with programmers and programming partners and where they are buying.
Cool. And finally, looking at the year ahead, what do you think is exciting, promising? What do you hope the industry breaks through in the coming year in our field here of advanced TV?
Scale. So, I mean, obviously measurement is a huge topic right now, but I would say scale is the ultimate goal. So I would like to see kind of, if we tackle the seamless execution piece of it, then we can get to starting talk about scale very quickly after that.